president's visit ahead in this broadcast.
Later, we'll hear from some of those high-rolling donors who paid big bucks to meet the president at an exclusive lunch. The chairman of the Republican National Committee weighs in on the president's campaign stops here, and we'll take a look at Vermont's presidential history, find out which commanders-in-chief have visited the Green Mountains.
One of the more touching moments in the president's speech came when he talked about Melissa Jenkins, the Northeast Kingdom teacher who was killed this week. His trip coincided with her memorial.
This is a woman by all accounts who devoted her life to her community and helping to shape young minds. And I know that Vermont's heartbroken, so all we can do is live our lives in a way that pays tribute to hers by looking out for her students and her son. And Michelle and I want to express our thoughts and prayers to everybody who knew her.
Melissa Jenkins' memorial service was held at St. Johnsbury Academy late this afternoon, where she worked as a science teacher for the last 11 years.
More than 1,000 people paid their respects to the young mom who was murdered this week. Anson Tevitz takes a closer look at her life and how her family and friends want her to be remembered.
Images of love and thanks surround this gymnasium. They are from Melissa Jenkins, her family, and friends.
Very loving, open, kind, and beloved teacher.
Hundreds gathered here at a memorial service to comfort each other and remember Jenkins, who was murdered earlier this week. For the family, this was a time to put aside the details of her sudden and tragic death and remember her contributions to this community and the small state.
As a teacher and coach, Melissa touched the lives of many students. She exemplified teaching at its best, balancing a dedicated work ethic and enjoyment for all life has to offer.
The 33-year-old was a teacher at St. Johnsbury Academy, helping young men and women with their physics in the science department. Jenkins was still learning too at the time of her death. She was about to complete her master's at St. Michael's College.
That's the way I'll always remember her. She always would reach out to those who were in need, and especially struggling students.
She also taught kids how to pass and dribble in this gym as the freshman basketball coach. Her energy and outgoing personality also took her to work extra jobs. As a teenager, she began waiting tables at area restaurants. That continued right up to her death. It was a job that fit her personality perfectly, often dressed with a splash of pink, her favorite color, and helping, surrounded by people who she loved. This community is doing its best to comfort her family and friends, trying to understand why this happened to such a special person. While people mourn her death and celebrate her life, many are also focused on helping Jenkins' young son, Ty, just 2 years old, the love of her life.
Ty was on campus with Melissa all the time. He was the light of her life, and every one of us that had the opportunity to eat a meal in the dining hall with them or to spend some time here watching a game with them in the after hours of the school day could see how much the little guy meant to her, and full support from our community to rally behind what his needs may be as he progresses through his life.
So much sorrow and sadness as life carries on, but so many determined to never forget Melissa Jenkins. Anson Tevitz, Channel 3 News, St. Johnsbury.
Who did not know Melissa Jenkins, today was a day to show support for her family and friends by wearing pink.
Some wore pins, others wore shirts, hats, sweaters, and the closer you got to St. Johnsbury, the more pink there was. Here's what people had to say about going pink for Melissa.
It was actually a very moving day. Kitty Toll, Representative Toll of Danville, asked Speaker Chef Smith to say a few words on her behalf. And afterwards, we had a really lovely moment of silence. It was, without a doubt, a very emotional experience and a heartwarming experience.
I'm usually not one who wears a lot of badges or banners or decorations on my jacket, but in this case, I think it's important enough for us to remember how vulnerable we all are and how much we appreciate our neighbors and how we really do have to stick together as a community. So that's what this heart is about today.
They're in support of Melissa Jenkins and her family for the tragic loss. And I'm actually